August 2006. I have no personal stuff to talk about. I don't remember what was going on in my life in August of 2006, except that I was working at Norlake Manufacturing. So let's just jump right into the books. And I've got a nice little stack here of books to show off. First book I read in August of 2006 is Field Guide to the Apocalypse by Meghan Marco. I think the subtitle says it all. Movie Survival Skills for the End of the World. I've talked about this before. Very, very fun book. And it covers things like, these are the different parts: the false utopia, the neo-medieval world, the advanced technological dystopia, apocalypse then, tips for saving the world. And just to give you an idea of what this sort of thing covers, under the false utopia, you have the chapters Culture, Sex, and Fashion in the False Utopia, How to Get Off Mind-Controlling Drugs, How to Conceal Free Will, How to Recognize a Dream World, My Food is People, How Not to Be Replaced by a Robot. So very, very funny stuff. Lots of movie references, because it is the movie survival skills for the end of the world. Really, really funny book. I've read it a couple of times. I'll probably read it again sometime relatively soon, maybe. Depends if I need a good laugh. And even, I mentioned this last time in the About the Author section, Megan invites fans to stay tuned for Field Guide to the Apocalypse Special Edition, in which the word fuck will be replaced with little pictures of walkie-talkies. I find that very funny. Field Guide to the Apocalypse by Meghan Marco. After that, I read Operator B by Edward Lee. This is a little tiny book. It's a cute little book. Operator A is dead. I'm just going to read the back cover copy here. In 1989, the United States military recovered a crashed vehicle of extraterrestrial origin. 10 years later, the vehicle is operational again. Willard Farrington, the best pilot in the world, has just committed suicide. Why? Air Force General Jack Wentz will find out soon enough. What Wentz will be offered is any test pilot's dream. And Wentz's dream comes true, but there's a catch. Within the secret warrens of the Pentagon and amongst military cells unknown even to the President and Congress, Wentz has just been designated Operator B. With his mind and his body, he will assume an unfathomable sacrifice. He will assume the role as the best pilot on the face of the earth. Only when it's too late does General Wentz realize the full price he must pay to become Operator B. Seeming departure for Edward Lee, going into sort of science fiction territory with extraterrestrials and UFOs. Not that extraterrestrials are necessarily off the beaten path for Edward Lee, depending on what version of a certain book you've read. But some interesting stuff from Mr. Lee. Now, I followed that up with The Stick Men by Edward Lee. I don't seem to have a copy of this. I don't know how I would have read this without owning a copy, unless I found it at the library. I was almost certain I had a copy of this, but I can't find it with all my Edward Lee stuff. And I wouldn't have given it away, as far as I know. But The Stick Men by Edward Lee. This is more UFO stuff. Conspiracy theories, UFOs, and there's a kid who sees things at night, and there's an assassin who's been sent to kill that kid. What the hell is going on? Why is Edward Lee all about UFOs for a period of time? I don't know. I'd love to ask him. But The Stick Men, another interesting departure for Edward Lee. And I really don't know why I don't have a copy of this. After that, we have In the Company of Ogres by A. Lee Martinez. Our main character is Never Dead Ned, who can be killed, but he always comes back to life. And he's been put in charge of Ogre Company, I think it's called, a ragtag group of fantasy characters and he's got to whip them into shape, take them into battle, and Ned finds out why it is he always comes back from the dead, and it's that reason makes him realize that he needs to stop dying. Um, Fun, Ailey Martinez, fantasy comedy. Uh, I preferred Gil's All Fright Diner, mainly, I guess, because that's horror, which I prefer to fantasy. But it's nice to see Ailey Martinez not just writing horror comedy, sort of stretching his writing muscles, doing things that are different, going from horror to fantasy. I read a thing that he wrote talking about not wanting to do the same thing over and over again, and it's a very fun, light-hearted, comedic fantasy novel. After that, we have Snowblind by P.J. Tracy, and again, back cover copy. A snowman sculpting contest in the park offers wintertime fun until Minneapolis detectives Lee Margozzi and Gina Rolseth discover the corpses of 2 police officers entombed in a pair of snowmen. A third body is discovered in yet another snowman, but this time it's in a rural northern county where the detectives must join forces with a former English teacher who has no experience in crime solving. Grace McBride and her team of crime-busting computer jocks at the Monkey Wrench firm are called in to assist and discover a terrifying link among the victims that reaches beyond the badge and crosses the line between hard justice and stone-cold vengeance. So this is a Monkey Wrench novel, the 4th, I believe, in the series, written by mother-daughter team, and I really enjoy these books. They're thrillers, they're mysteries and thrillers with great characters, and thank you for the person that sent me a bunch of these, and I did not plan ahead, and so I do not recall. It's on the tip of my brain, but I'm sorry, I don't remember your first name. But P.J. Tracy, Snowblind. After that, Kitty Goes to Washington by Carrie Vaughn. This is a Kitty Norville book, the second of 16 in the series. I did not read all of them. Kitty Norville is a late night radio show host who happens to be a werewolf. And she, in the first book, she, on her radio show, gives advice to the hidden supernatural creatures in the world, but she basically outs herself as a werewolf in that book. And so in this book, she has gone to Washington to testify in front of Congress about the supernatural entities in the world. And of course, this is going to bring all sorts of not just supporters, but opponents out of the woodwork, many of them of a supernatural nature. What is Kitty Norville to do? These are fun urban fantasy books. I didn't stop reading them because I didn't enjoy them. I just moved on to other things, which is why I haven't read all 16 of the books in the series. But, give them a try if you like them. Plenty of stuff for you to read. Kitty Goes to Washington by Carrie Vaughn. The penultimate book that I read in August of 2006 is Serenity Falls, Writ in Blood by James A. Moore. This is a book that has a brand new edition out that I'm probably going to buy. But before we get into that, again, I'm going to read back cover copy here. 300 years ago, she fell victim to the fear and wrath of those who dwelled in Serenity Falls. Her body was devoured in flames, but her curse upon the town lived on. The hamlet of Serenity Falls is dying. Businesses have evacuated, tourism has vanished, and goodwill among neighbors is long gone. Historian Simon MacGruder has taken it upon himself to record a formal narration of the town's past before it fades into oblivion. But what he uncovers is a history of the unspeakable: lynchings, mass murders, sexual depravity, and rumors of the birth of the Antichrist. But the darkest secret is yet to be revealed. by a stranger who has arrived at McGruder's door on a mission of his own. This is the first book in a trilogy, and really, really good stuff. It features that stranger is a very, very popular character. I could just say who it is, because if you know the works of James A. Moore, you'll know his most popular character. But if you don't, I don't want to spoil it. Really good stuff. And I forget what publisher it is reprinting 10 of James A. Moore books. I believe all 10 are the all of the stories with that character, whom I shall not name, all with covers by Dan Brereton, who's a fantastic artist, with new introductions. All 3 of the Serenity Falls books are now available, as well as Under the Overtree. And so there's 6 more coming. And I love Dan Brereton's art. And so I think I'm going to be buying these new editions. Plus, I already have some of the books with Dan Brereton covers, which I believe are limited editions. So I won't be rebuying those books. I'll keep my limited editions. But yeah, it's good stuff. And it's, again, a trilogy, an epic story. Well worth the read, especially if you're a fan of this particular character, even though they're not the main character. Serenity Falls, Writ in Blood by James A. Moore. And the final book that I read in August of 2006 is The Ultimates, Tomorrow Men by Michael Jan Friedman. And again, I'm going to go with back cover copy here. The Ultimates, the first government-sponsored cadre of superheroes, was assembled to face threats to humanity too insanely powerful for other operatives to handle. Led by a general who gave an eye in the service of his country, the superpowered roster includes a billionaire playboy in a high-tech suit of armor, a World War II super soldier whom fate has thrust into the 21st century, an environmentalist icon who claims to be an ancient Norse god, and a scientist whose mutant powers allow her to shrink to the stature of an insect. But even the Ultimates are unprepared for a quintet of mysterious visitors who appear in the midst of the team's top security base of operations, claiming to be emissaries from the future. These Tomorrow Men say Earth's civilization is at a crossroads, on the verge of enslavement by a secret, immensely efficient organization known in the future as Tiber. Only the Ultimates have the skills and the firepower to ferret Tiber out of its nests around the world and crush its plans for global conquest. But there is much more the Tomorrow Men will not say. After all, they don't want to alter the timeline any more than they have to. But wealthy Tony Stark, aka Iron Man, is dying by degrees of an incurable medical condition. For him, the temptation to make an additional change in the timeline may be too great to ignore, though mankind's future might be damaged in the process. So for those who don't know, the Ultimates is the Avengers in the Ultimate Universe. Marvel started the Ultimate line to sort of reboot, recreate a bunch of their characters. There was Ultimate Spider-Man, Ultimate Fantastic Four. The Ultimates are the Avengers, where, Thor is an environmentalist, an icon, and not everybody believes that he's a Norse god. He claims to be, but not everybody believes it. This is the comic that made Nick Fury into an African American. He was designed after Samuel L. Jackson, so it's great that Samuel L. Jackson ended up playing the character in the movies. I like that bit of synchronicity. I enjoyed the book. It did some crazy things, and it got even crazier and a little out there towards the end of its run. But the early stories I thought were very enjoyable, very interesting take on the characters. And so this takes place in that world. This isn't your grandpa's Avengers, as they say. And I don't remember the book that much. I'm wondering, since it's time travel, I'm wondering if Kang is involved. But if you're into a slightly more gritty version of the Avengers, if you've read the Ultimate Comics and enjoyed them, then this is the book for you. And that's it. That is everything that I read in August. I've lost track of what I'm doing. August of 2006. And I really don't have a question for this video. So let's just go with the very generic. Do any of these books sound interesting to you? Have you read any of these books? If so, what did you think of them? Let me know in the comments below. If you have any comments, questions, or corrections, please put those in the comments below. Comments are open for spoilers. We try to be polite here on my channel. Please like, share, and subscribe, all the usual YouTube stuff. If you care to follow me on other social media, I'll have links for my Instagram and Bluesky in the description below. And that's all I've got for you this week. So until next week, read more books.